God bless you, and thank you for joining us on Reset Forever Ministries. This YouTube channel is pretty much brand new, and we're doing a study on the book of Revelation. So I am going to ask you if you want to learn about the book of Revelation. We're going to go through it as simply and as thoroughly as we know how. And I think you're going to find out this is nothing to have nightmares about. This is nothing to be afraid of, but this is every reason to worship the true and living Savior. All right, so today we are just going to touch on one verse, which is going to transition us from that first teaching on Revelation, where we went from chapter 1, verses 1 through 6. And we're hitting a pivotal point in this chapter, which is verse number 7. And I am being joined today by my little scholar, my granddaughter Malai. You want to say? She is really outgoing, but this is her first time doing this. So she's going to work with me today. You got all the information. We're going to go into our teaching. So in the book of Revelation. Now, again, you can go to the first teaching and find a lot, that first one, segment number 1, it'll say verses 1 through 6. Today, we're just going to touch on 7 so that when we release next week's teaching on verses, the rest of the chapter, you will already be up to speed on this verse. So there's a lot to unpack here. So let's go right into it, Malay. So where are we starting at today?
Revelations 1 verse 7.
All right, so 1 and 7. Again, as I said, this is a pivotal point. So take some notes, pay attention, and you'll find out that this just flows together. It makes sense. It's going to draw you in closer, and you're going to get a lot out of this verse. All right, it says this, verse number 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds. Now, we talked about in those first few chapters, and this part, he cometh with clouds. So if you take a moment and consider, a lot of people really do say that when he comes with the clouds, that's the rapture. Or when he comes with the clouds, that's the tribulation. Or, there's just a lot of confusion, and they make it one or the other, or sometimes they make it one and the same, but it is neither. So it's two separate events, and we're going to prove that today. Now, we went to the book of Acts in chapter number 1, and I think that this is it's good to know that God does things decently in order and in order. So in Acts chapter number 1 and verse number 9, I just want to read that into your hearing, and then we'll touch on Jesus coming in the clouds. So in 1 and 9, after Jesus tells them that the gospel is going to be preached in Jerusalem and Judea and Samaria and the other parts of the earth, he makes another statement. And actually, it did happen in that order. It was preached first in Jerusalem, and then it was preached in Judea. After that, it was preached into the othermost parts of the earth. All right. Now, the next verse, do you want me to read it, or you want to go ahead and read it? Verse number 9, you want me to do it? Okay. So verse number 9 says, and when he had spoke these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and the cloud received him out of their sight. Now, the next verse talks about 2 men in white, which were angels. And as they were watching Jesus ascend, now they were watching him, that's important. As they were watching Jesus ascend, the angel said to them, why are you gazing? Because just as you saw him leave in the clouds, likewise, he's going to return in the clouds. Why are you gazing? All right, so let's go back, and we're going to start to unpack how this is 2 separate events and how you can just have this information in proper perspective. All right, so verse number 7, behold, he cometh with clouds. And I think that is the word that confuses everybody, Malay. I think that the word cloud is what confuses everybody. So if you will give us the definition, because A cloud is not, what always comes to mind. There's more to it. So you really do need to do some studying. So if you will give us that first definition of the cloud that everybody thinks about, or that definition that everybody thinks about when you say cloud.
They think of a large, dense multitude or a throng.
Okay, so that is the one that we actually want you to call into your understanding when you read this verse about he comes with clouds. It was a large, dense multitude. It is a multitude. And this is when you look it up in the Greek um, dictionary, or your lexicon, um, Strong's lexicon or dictionary, and he is an expert. And the Greek term there for clouds is a dense throng or multitude. And if you remember, Jesus was walking and he was healing people, and there was a great throng. Remember, the scripture uses that word, which means a great multitude of people were surrounding him, touching him, trying to get healing from him. So the clouds are also a multitude or throng. The other definition was what?
A shapeless collection of vapor obscuring the heavens.
So, like the wispy clouds or the calculus clouds, we think about that. So, when we hear Jesus is coming in the clouds, the image in our mind is usually that, oh, there's going to be this beautiful cascade of clouds around him, and he's going to be coming in such a graceful, majestic manner. But this is different. This is different. So, let's look at what Jude said about it. I believe we want to go to Jude next. Is that right? So, Malay, where are we at in Jude?
Jude 17 and 18.
17 and 18. Okay, and I'll read it. It says, "But beloved, remember ye the words which were spoken before of the apostle, our Lord Jesus Christ, how that they would be told there should come be some mockers in the last time that should walk after their own ungodly lust." Now remember, Jude is encouraging people to live holy, to live righteous, because the Lord is going to come, but there's going to be some disturbances and discouragement, and people are going to get off the path, and they're going to stop their steadfast lifestyles, and they're going to begin to do pretty much, what they see everybody else doing, and that's the way of the world. That's the way it's going to go. But if you look at verse number 14, it says this. And Enoch, also the seventh from Adam, prophesied of these things, saying, the Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints. That is a multitude. That is a throng, a dense group of people. So when he comes with the clouds, there may be some calculus clouds. But the point that Jude is making that is that there's going to be a multitude coming with him, and he tells us who they are. He said that he is going to come with, um, verse number 14 says he prophesied, saying, "Behold, the Lord cometh with 10,000s of his saints." That's those of us. Now, how are we going to be coming with him? Because we've already been caught away to be with him, Malay. That means the rapture has already happened. That means he has already taken us out. He has already captured us. Now, come on, let's go back to the book of Matthew. Let's go back to the book of Matthew, and let's just establish that. So I think you got chapter 24. And I want you to start with verse number 29.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened.
Immediately after what?
After the tribulation.
So, can you see something here, folks? that you may not have considered, but then again, let me say you may not have, because you may have. But this is after the tribulation. Go ahead, Malay.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from the heavens, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken.
All right, now we read somewhere else in there too about this tribulation. What verse was that? 21, I'm guessing.
30?
24 and 21. Chapter 24, verse 21. Everybody take notes, because it's not hard when you just sit down and take a few moments with the word. We got verse 20, Matthew 24.
For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor shall be.
So if there's not going to be any worse, then that's the tribulation period. There has nothing ever come upon the earth like this, and there's never going to be anything like this again. So this is the tribulation period. So he said it's going to happen after the tribulation. So if that's the case, then when we get to the book of Revelation, chapter number 1, verse number 7, the rapture has he's telling us that this rapture, these are the things that are going to come. This is what it's going to be like. And this is just really it's kind of like a preface telling us about the coming of the Lord. But as we read further in the chapters, we're going to break down all the different churches, all the different things that happen coming up to it, and get some details. But all of these things in chapter number 1, verse number 7. Now remember here that, and before we conclude, it says this: they also which pierced him. It says every eye shall see him. Now, as we looked at the rapture is going to happen, and we can go to that, but I'm just going to tell you where to find it for the sake of time. In the first book of Thessalonians, chapter number 4, I think it was, and verse number 13, it says that the Lord himself is going to descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. So it said, we will not prevent those that are asleep, and that's saying those that have passed away. We don't have any advantage over those that have passed away because we didn't taste death. But he's going to get those that have experienced death in their body. He's going to get them out of their graves first. First order of business is to get them out of their graves, catch them up with us, and we'll all go to be with the Lord together. So that is the order of things according to the book of First Thessalonians. So okay, all right. So as we continue, he says, now remember, we went to Acts. As we went to Acts, the angels were there, and the angels asked them, because after Jesus had made his statement, we just read it, after Jesus made his statement, then it said, a cloud came and received him out of their sight. So this cloud, and it said that the cloud received him and carried him up, but they were standing there looking and gazing. So this was something that took, time for them to stand and to gaze and watch this occur. But the rapture is going to happen in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye. So this could not be the rapture, because it was every eye did not see him in this. This one is telling us that in the rapture, every eye is going to see him. This also tells us that every one of the tribes of the earth are going to look upon him and they're going to mourn. That's not going to happen in the rapture. So this is the tribulation. And then we made it real clear when we went to verse number 21 and verse number 29 and verse number 30 of the 24th chapter of Matthew, that those are going to be the preceding or the prelude to the end of days, because the tribulation has occurred. So that's what's going to happen at the end of the tribulation. So chapter number 1, verse number 7 is very, very pivotal. And then after this, we're going to start seeing some revelations. Now, I'll say this and then we're going to close out. There are going to be many, many revelations. Jesus is going to reveal himself several times in this book, and every time it's going to be more expansive and there's going to be more depth. And you're going to find out that he is going to reveal himself as he's talking to the churches, and he's going to tell them what's going to happen with them and what his opinion is of them and what his assessment is of them. But when he tells them that, he's going to reveal himself first, and he's going to reveal himself as exactly what they're going to need in order to correct and to be in order. All right, that's a whole lot of teaching, a whole lot of talking. So we're going to close it with that. Malay, you want to tell everyone goodbye?
Bye.
And thank you for joining me. I appreciate having my granddaughter with me, and God bless you. And remember, Mondays at 5 p.m., we will be here on Reset Forever, um, the Reset Forever a YouTube channel. But I do want to ask you once again, if you have not done so yet, be sure to subscribe and to like and comment on the chapter. I will say this also. If you need a Bible, if you don't have a Bible, you need a Bible. If you need a Bible, put that in the chat line and we'll get a Bible to you. Now, there are going to be some, if you hand me those, Malay, those. If you, we're going to have some questions because I do want you to read, I do want you to study. We're going to have some questions. And in those, as you respond, maybe the first or last, we'll send some things to you just to thank you for watching and to keep you engaged. And some of you, I will send to you as your response this coffee mug that says just breathe. And then, of course, as a reminder, you will have the reset logo on there. And then if you don't drink coffees, just sitting at home, you drink it on the run, then we'll get the travel mug to you. Okay? All right. And then let me just add one more thing. Accordingly, I have written a book. It's called Breathe by Dr. Valerie Simpson. It is a guide to coping mechanisms and strategies. This book is, I challenge you, you will find out that you are in this book. You have grieved in this way. You don't just grieve death, you grieve lost opportunities, loss of livelihood, health, loss of relationships, friendships, missed opportunities, a lot of things. And there you will find yourself in this book, but there are mechanisms in there that are all non-pharmacological. So if you can't keep taking a pill for what the doctor told you because they told you to take it every 3 hours and anxiety won't wait to the end of the 3 hours, there are mechanisms in this book that I want you to use. Again, it's Breathe by Dr. Valerie Simpson. You can get it in both the print form, you can get it in an ebook. And if you don't have time to listen or to read, then just get it in audible form, because the audible form you can listen to as you're driving back and forth to work, back and forth to church, or whatever you're doing. And that audible book will read the entire book to you in 3 hours. And I guarantee you, you'll probably go and buy the book after you've listened to it. And you'll listen to it several times, if not. All right, so we're all done, Malay. Thank you. You have been outstanding. I love you. Nana loves you. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. God bless.